Hi, Chris here. This is the captain's log for, what is it, June 1st. Ah, shit, it's a new month already. We've got a pretty long one here for you tonight because we're talking to Martin Thomas and doing the little get to know the us in a very rare type interview with Martin where we talk to him about his past and his whole backstory, his biography, how he got started in comics, how that developed, the early days of working with Corey and the real deal and what have you, and then of course the dreaded 10 questions. And once me and Martin start going, we just keep talking. But anyway, you get a twofer over this next 24 hours of both with Martin, with getting both to see him with this, and then of course the Batman, original Tim Burton movie Batman commentary that is going up tomorrow with me, him, Bo, and a friend and fan, Justin Carnahan. So anyway, check out this long interview here. It's about a little under 30 minutes long, and I think y'all will enjoy it. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him. You love him.
Do you?
We did. Yes.
Okay.
I think everybody does.
Okay, all right.
You're kind of like that guy. Have you ever, is there anyone who doesn't like you?
Yeah.
There's
people.
I don't think there are.
No. There's people who don't like me.
Well, it's Martin Thomas,
okay.
Of course. Everyone I know loves you. I certainly do. And
Hey, you run with good people. You have taste.
We just got done recording a commentary for the original Batman, which was fun.
Was fun.
But I thought I'd give a little chance to ask you some questions that I don't know if we've ever really been through before with you.
Oh, okay. Sure.
One of which is basically, where are you from originally?
I was born in a little town called Washington, D.C. in the year of 1965.
Oh, my God.
I know. How long ago was that? Don't answer. Right on the outskirts of D.C., where if I walked 2 blocks, I was in Maryland city limits. And I lived there till 1975 when I moved to Houston.
Wow. But you haven't been here ever since in Texas, right?
Yes.
Oh, you have? Okay.
I have, yes.
When did you come to Austin?
I came to Austin in 1987. This is my 30th year here.
Was it for school?
No. I mean, all my real schooling, from 6th grade on through graduating high school, going to community college for a year, and then my associate's degree at the Art Institute. I graduated right in the time of it was 85, it was right in the heart of the oil bust. Texas being a big oil town, it did great when the boom was on, and when the bust hit, not so much. I get out of school at a time when there were supposed to be jobs waiting for me, and there was nothing. There was zero. The little jobs I got paid very little. Sometimes I worked at a place once for a month where when they wrote us our check at the end of the month, all the checks bounced.
And this would be graphic design?
Yes.
You were doing even then?
Yes, I was doing that. Of course, my aspiration was to be a comic book artist. And one thing I can say is that during this time, with not a lot going on, I wrote and illustrated my first comic book story. It was just an 8-page story about some characters I'd worked on with a friend from high school. I extended it, did a whole kind of Alex Ross kind of thing, because being a writer, artist / painter was a big, it was kind of a thing at that time. And I happened to, the way to get into the business was to go to comic book conventions and meet other creators, especially if you can meet an editor, show your portfolio off. Usually they just, told you that your anatomy sucked and gave you like, well, this. They really had no intention of hiring you. It was rare that it happened, but it still was the only shot. And at one particular convention, I met a small publisher of Austin, John Nordland II, he was the publisher of Blackbird Comics. I dropped my stuff with a lot of people, and then somebody came to me and said, hey, that guy you dropped that stuff off with, he's looking everywhere for you. He wants to publish you.
Wow.
So, yeah, wow. So luckily these conventions were all weekend long. I went back the next day, saw him, talked to him. He was like, yes, I want to publish this. I want to publish it right now and whatever else you do. And so we formed our relationship. And right after that story was published, I would come to Austin at times because they would have small conventions here. So it was a way for me to come and promote the book and hang out with him and whoever else get to know people in town. And I always loved Austin when I would visit. And there was a point when he called and said, listen, me and my wife, we have this big house. Our roommate's moving out. We need somebody. I thought about you. What would you think about coming to Austin to just live with us and we'll work on comics together. Just how about you come? Just we'll put you up for 2 weeks. You can look for a job and just get to know the city, see if you like it. And I was like, sure. I got nothing going on in Houston. Let me give it a shot. And after about 6 days, definitely a week, I was like, that's it. I'm going back to Houston to get my stuff, and I'm coming back. I love this town so much, and I've been here ever since.
So obviously, like, you worked on some comic books that helped us get to be friends, notably Grimjack, which was one of my favorite comics ever for First Comics. You did, what was your role in that?
Oh, I was a colorist. It was one of these things where, as much as I loved writing and drawing and doing the full painted stuff, it took a long time. And it wasn't like I was being hired by any big company to do that. So I was working shit jobs while I did it on my own. And as great as a publisher as Blackbird was, they didn't really have the money to sustain that. But I was able to pick up some freelance jobs. At first, inking and then coloring. It was like painting, except I could do it faster, and somebody had done all the groundwork with the drawing. So first book I colored professionally was a book called oh God, what was that? It was kind of like a spin-off of Another Fine Myth, sort of. It was a book written by Robert Asprin, who did all the myth books.
Which, of course, I loved because they were filled with puns.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've recently gone back and started rereading those, and they are so much fun. Duncan and Mallory, that was the name of the book. And the same publisher. And with that, I leapfrogged to something else, and then I finally got over at First Comics, which I was hot for because my favorite comic book in the world was Nexus.
Yeah.
And I just thought, man, if I get in with them doing something, I started with some of the Elric books and then got on Grimjack, and that was my regular assignment. And I had never read Grimjack before, but it was so much fun being thrown into that world.
Did you get to meet John Ostrander?
Not really.
No? So it was all kind of assignment?
Yes. It was at a time when there was a comic book boom going on at the time. And comic book companies were not afraid to... you didn't have to work where they were. It used to be you only got work if you lived in New York. But suddenly there was this boom. So many publishers, so many people wanted stuff. You could live anywhere and just FedEx your work in. So, it's funny how I never really met other people on the creative team. I talked to them over the phone, but didn't meet up with them so much. But yeah, I colored that book for years. It was like my signature book up until it ended. And then the next book I was on was the manga, the English adaptation of the manga Crying Freeman.
That I did not know.
Oh yeah, and that, I mean, of the books I've colored, that was probably my favorite. I mean, it was a manga. I didn't realize manga to begin with, but it was one that I was already reading. I already liked it. It was about an artist who got pretty much kidnapped by the Yakuza and turned into an assassin, a master assassin. And the first series is all about how is he going to break away from these people and get back to his real life. And so when this assignment came up for me, this opportunity, I was so excited about it. And when I got into the book, it changed drastically. Art was still beautiful, but he had accepted his role, and now it had become pretty much a sex torture book. I mean, the very first
Not
issue,
your kind of thing, really.
No, not at all. The first
You're like,
issue,
I can't wait until someone starts writing Tarot the Black Witch so I can draw that.
Yeah, you have this male and female spy who try to take down this giant samurai dude. He kills the guy, takes the woman, strips her clothes off, breaks all her bones, rapes her, and then throws her in a sewer and walks off.
Oh my God.
And she survives because she's able to rock her body and trap rats and eat them.
Jesus. Okay.
I was like, what has happened? Unfortunately, it got away from that as it went on.
Yeah.
But the work was beautiful, and I love working on that so much, and I feel like I did some of the best work of my career. And also, I guess I have to mention that I also worked on one of the iconic Spider-Man posters with Todd McFarlane.
Now, I know that you weren't particularly close with your father, but I'm curious to know if you're, like, where your own geekiness came from, your love of comics and all these things, knowing this was something that was more than just a passing phase for you, if your mom was in any way had any of those qualities that influenced you.
No, not in the least.
Was there someone else in your family like that?
Nope.
Nope, so you were just a geek out of nowhere.
Pretty much.
What do you think was the point where you were like, I love this so much, I just want to keep being involved with this type of thing?
Well, gosh, my family history is it's a bit complicated to unravel. I won't bore you all with it. But I was one of those kids who was left alone a lot.
Latchkey kid.
The latchkey kid, before that was even a term. And while I have brothers and sisters, I didn't grow up with them until... When I lived in D.C., I didn't live with my family. I lived with a different family. So I was pretty much an only child during that time. And while I had friends I played with all the time, watching TV, especially cartoons, most specifically the 1960s Spider-Man cartoon, that was what I did the most. And pulling out, drawing the cartoons while I watched them, that was probably my greatest joy. And so I don't know, I just, having the television as a third parent, that would be the parent that most influenced me to be into geeky stuff.
Somewhere in an attic somewhere, there's a box with a bunch of pictures drawn by you of Kimba the White Lion, aren't there?
Yes. Kimba the White Lion, Speed Racer, Ultraman, Spider-Man, Underdog.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty much those.
So in terms of movies, of course, it sounds like your first real foray into being involved in criticism was The Real Deal.
Yes.
But I knew you already knew Corey before that public access show started. And that was from drawing comics for the Daily Texan. Is that correct?
Yes. Back in the early 90s, well, I don't know if it started with the late 80s, but definitely the early 90s. Within Austin, Austin was, during the comic book boom, Austin was a smaller hub of all that. It kind of, like from Blackbird Comics, extended sort of as it was on its way out. It extended to Shannon Wheeler, who created Too Much Coffee Man. Mm-hmm. He and I became best friends and shared his house as a studio. And there were a lot of cartoonists who were over at the Daily Texan, the University of Texas's student newspaper, where they had a cartoon section. And those guys, despite, they were, it was kind of like our aesthetic with The Real Deal, where we're like, look, we know we're an access show, but we're going to treat this like it's a real television show. Mm-hmm. We're going to be consistent. We're going to show up on time. We're going to give it our all and never just acknowledge that it is what it is. We're going to go for it. And those guys on that paper, they were all professional grade cartoonists with skills way above their age range. The papers, the cartoons have never been on that level since then. And those guys, most of them have gone on to directing or storyboarding so many different cartoon animated series or movies that you don't even know about. And among those, two of the guys among those were Robert Rodriguez and Corey Coleman. And because we had this community, all these people that we would always get together, we'd hang out a lot. At the studio Shannon and I shared, he had it open to everybody, so it was a big place to get to what's the word I'm looking for? To commune. We worked on comics with each other. We had a lot of midnight runs of putting together books for shows, everybody helping each other out. And Corey and I got to know each other from that. We just kind of hit it off right away.
So what was the year The Real Deal started?
Whew, that's a good question.
I can't even remember how many years it went on.
I don't know either. I know that
somewhere around 9 years or so, I think.
Well, I know that I started, I want to say it was about 19 or 20 years ago, because my daughter hadn't been born yet, my oldest, and she's 19 now.
Okay.
But it had already been on the air. I want to say 18 months before that.
Okay, because I know when I first met you, your daughter had not been born yet.
Right. So she was born in 97, and I want to say it had already been on probably 2 years up until that point. So
oh my God, she's in college now.
Yeah.
Liver
completed her
spot.
first year of college, I know. So yeah, I probably around 95.
So you went on
estimating.
We went on with a bunch of years there. I got to know you and Corey and everybody else through that thing. Mm-hmm. Eventually, of course, we all formed Spill together.
Right.
And that went on for, I think, 7 years?
I think.
I that's so weird that I don't know. I should know. Right?
I know. No. We should have these things nailed down, but there's people out there who know.
Yeah, of course there are. And then, of course, once that broke up, I went on my way. Corey went his way. Mm-hmm. Of course, let me settle once and for all, we are all still very good friends.
Yeah.
There is no hard feelings of any kind.
Wait, are there people who still think
Of course there are. They're like, oh, well, that must be why they have two different websites. It's like, no, actually, the reason there are two different websites because when we knew Spill was ending, Corey was like, dude, if you were going to go do your own thing, you should go ahead and do it now.
Yeah,
I was like, well, I was thinking about doing a website. He's like, yeah, you should do that because I'm moving to Turkey. And I was like, okay, I guess I will. And we spent a bunch of money, like a couple grand, starting one of us. And then he's like, oh, I'm actually staying. I'm starting my own website, so come work with me again. I was like, Corey, you told me to go do my own thing, and I already spent a bunch of money on it.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, you had started One of Us.
We had already
6 months before.
Well before he came to us with Double Toasted was going to be a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was kind of frustrated. I was like, damn it, Corey, if you just told me from the get-go, I would have gone with you.
He honestly didn't know.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, just the way the plug was pulled was just so...
No, fully aware of that.
It took everybody by surprise. I figured, okay, that's it. He was talking about moving to Turkey or moving back with his mom.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're not going to...
He was crestfallen, but there was such an outpouring of support from the fans. I think he was like, okay, that gave him the strength. It was people clapping their hands for Tinkerbell.
Right.
But no, we all still hung out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch Double Toasted regularly, I've been on there several times.
Oh, yeah.
And we actually Corey was like, can y'all put off this Batman recording to another night? Because I know I'd actually like to do it. And I was like, no, but we could have you on a different commentary.
Oh, okay.
Space Jam.
That'd be good to get him on for that. Because he has tons of stories about working on that.
Yeah, which is weird because I drew a few shadows. I love the running joke in the forums is always like directed by Corey Coleman. He's responsible for it all, which I would never want to claim credit for.
Well, it's funny. It's a whole generational thing where our generation looks at Space Jam and goes, yeah. But then there's the generation under us
that grew up with it as young kids.
They love it.
I mean, I know for a fact there's things I love that there's nothing good about it, but because I saw it when I was a little kid, it still wells up the warm experiences with me.
Sure.
All that being said, when I finally rewatched Escape from Witch Mountain, I was like, wow, this is shit.
I know.
And I loved it so much.
I loved it so much, too. When I rewatched it, I'm like, no, this can't be happening. Yeah, it's funny you would bring that up, because that, to me, is such an icon of the, like, wow, I'm so crestfallen to find out that this is... I could live my whole life believing that was a good movie.
Yeah, but
and been
no.
happier. I
But
know.
no.
But it's so not.
Still better than the remake.
Well,
maybe. I don't know if it is, actually.
I mean, the remake's bad, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty bad across the board.
Yeah.
I'm scared to go watch Bed Knobs and Broomsticks now because I'm like, I remember loving that so fucking much, and now I'm afraid if I watch it, I'll be like, wow, this is garbage.
Oh, I saw it as an adult. I took my kids to see it at one of those Alamo screenings.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was garbage. I just was unimpressed by it.
Or God help me, The Private Eyes. Do you remember that one?
No, what's that?
With Tim Conway and Don Knotts.
You mentioned the Dream Team.
Yeah. I was like, I saw that like 5 times in the theater. But they're like 2 incompetent guys who end up in a big old gothic, like Edgar Allan Poe type mansion with trapped secret doors and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of those movies.
Nah, man. Don Knotts is one of the funniest guys, and there's a reason he won Emmy after Emmy after Emmy. And yet, I don't think any of his movies are actually funny.
I'm trying to think of one. I remember I loved the Apple Dumpling Gang movies.
Yeah, and The Ghost of Mr. Chicken.
Yeah.
And The Love God. But you go back and rewatch them, and you're like,
All right, so first off, what is your favorite comic book ever?
My favorite comic book
run
ever?
of a comic book or graphic novel or whatever. Is there something you can think of would be like, that's probably the one I still hold the highest regard for?
Ooh, boy. I mean, I guess I always think of Preacher.
Okay.
Because every couple years I'll go back and reread those.
I do reread that and The Sandman probably more than any other comic book.
Yeah, and I also I'm a huge fan. I mean, speaking of Garth Ennis, what he did with The Punisher, not the first series, the whole Welcome Back Frank,
the Max
stuff, where he did all the fun stuff where he got to be funny and crude, and he's like, and then it's almost like he said like, okay, I got that out of my system.
Huh.
Now I really respect this character, and I want to tell.
Now let's do a
story.
super dark story.
Yeah.
Did he introduce his guy who's in the van who makes all the tools and everything?
Microchip? No, Microchip had been around.
Had he? Okay, I thought I remembered that.
No, he had Microchip turn on him.
Do you have a favorite movie?
I mean, my favorite movie pretty much bounces back and forth between Fight Club and Pulp Fiction.
What's the movie you hate the most that everybody else loves? Generally speaking.
Probably Gladiator.
Yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of them.
Somebody just sent me today.
I'm sorry. I guess it's Spider-Man 2.
Someone just sent me today a script for Gladiator 2, and I was like, I hate Gladiator. Why would I read this? Because it was written by Nick Cave, who went on to write several really good, crazy, super dark westerns, and I was like, wow, really? And he's like, yeah, it's actually really good. I'm like, we'll see. Anyway, let's go on to the final, most dreaded part of these interviews, which is the Inside the Actors Studio 10 questions.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm always bad at these.
All right, number 1, what is your favorite word?
Favorite word? Do I have a favorite word?
Disestablishmentarianism's already been taken.
No, I don't even like that word. not a fan. Not a fan. Oh, regardless.
And not irregardless.
Which is not even a word.
Not a word, exactly. What's your least favorite word?
What have I heard recently that's my least favorite word? Dude. You catch me on the spot with these? I don't know.
Sorry. Do you want to come back to that one?
Yes, we'll come back to it.
Okay. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Pass. We'll come back.
What turns you off creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
That would be stumbling into, because I don't walk into it willingly, but stumbling into an argument with somebody who's not even listening or considering and the other side. You
can tell they're just waiting to talk and not listening. What is your favorite curse word?
Oh, Jesus fuck.
I haven't done one of these for me, but mine is always from Ghostbusters. The mother puss bucket. Nobody quotes that enough.
I mean, it's a tie between Jesus fuck and oh for fuck's sakes.
What sound or noise do you love?
Ooh, I love the sound of. I can't think about that.
My answer used to be that's that THX trailer sound.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, but they don't play it anymore.
They sure don't.
No.
Is THX just so behind the technological curve that?
It was so ever present. The Simpsons parodied it.
I know. They did a great job of it too. I love that sound of. Whoa. Not that sound. Dang it.
I know everybody does that. They're like, they go, gah. It's like, gah? No. That's just me thinking. I'm just spitballing.
I know.
For the favorite sound.
Man,
can you name your least favorite sound?
My least favorite sound? Yeah. Actually, now that's something that you brought up recently, the sound of squeaky brakes.
Yeah. That's pretty bad. I've had to deal with that several times.
Like when I can hear them grind.
Fucking caliber sound.
My wallet starts to hurt.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Other than my own, something I'd like to do. Oh, boy. I'm kind of happy with what I'm doing.
But, if it was like...
No, I know what you mean.
They're like, hey, we're giving you an extra 70 years of life and another $1 million to coast for a while till you can figure out what it is.
You injured your hand. Or it's been severed, so now what would you do?
Let's not say that, because that would limit you from what else you could do.
You're right about that.
But, it's like one of those, hey, now your lifespan isn't an issue, or health, or money, and you can go back to school for anything you want. But to get that deal, you have to choose a different profession.
You know what? As much as I am so many different people's unofficial magical Negro, I'd love to get paid for that. I'd be a life coach.
You would be good at that. I'd pay you to do that. You've always been my magical Negro, Martin.
Yeah, you got me on retainer.
What profession would you absolutely not like to do?
Oh, at my job, at my day job, there is a job called a denier, where when people call up with their healthcare claims saying, "Hey, I got charged this, blah blah blah," or "How come this didn't go through?" You have to tell them, "Sorry, we're not paying that."
Mm-hmm.
Would not want that job.
Yeah, that sounds pretty bad. All right, so going back, what was your least favorite word?
Oh, my least favorite word. Okay. Shit, I know my least favorite phrase.
What's your least favorite phrase?
Can I talk to you for a second?
Ooh, boy. That right there just made my teeth grind
Right?
hearing it. You're like, I'm fired.
Or did you just know, like, even if it's somebody, they're not your boss, but a friend, you're like,
Yeah. Oh, what do I have to deal with here?
yeah. Fine.
Ha, good one. And then what turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Oh, what turns me on? I would say... Oh, I just had this recently. Actually, just really good collaboration.
Yeah, agreed. That's one of my favorites. Let me see. What else did we skip? What sound or noise do you love?
Oh, what sound and noise do I love?
Cats meowing.
What's the opposite of that? Oh, you're all right. Okay, never mind. You go on then. A sound I love is...
Cha-ching!
No, it's usually not me getting that particular money. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what's that... there's a sound when you're waiting for something and you hear it and you know that it's your turn.
But, oh my god, are you Leon?
Oh, good lord. Okay. All right. Think of it.
This is the last hard one, and then you just got the final one.
I know. Do you know people who are easily able to answer this question?
Actually, most people went through it pretty fast, except Chris Herman, who was like, "You got to let me have another chance and come back and do it again so I can study."
Yeah. I do need to study most of the time. I like the sound. On Double Toasted, on our movie review show, there's the quiz section that Martin gets a gold star. And I do like the sound when I get an answer right.
You're still anxious to please the teacher after all these years.
No, I'm just anxious to not look like an idiot.
Yeah, I'm anxious about that too. Although still I fail more often than not.
Yeah, I know. I should just get used to it.
And our final question is, if heaven exists, which I know you don't believe, but let's say hypothetically it does, you die, you go there, you're like, fuck, it's the pearly gates and everything, and God
I am so screwed.
And God is standing there. What would you like to hear him say to you?
I'd like to hear him say, sit down, and I'm going to explain everything to you now. And when we get done, it's all going to make sense.
Wow. That'd be nice. That's the ideal scenario. It's like, yeah, but after that, you're going to go into the formless void and have no character or personality of your own anymore.
True.
But you'll be joined with everything. Doesn't that sound nice? No! All right, fine. But can we watch Shazam first? All right, before we finish this up, is there anything else you would like to say about yourself or to tell your fans out there, something that you're not usually prompted for but you'd like to express?
Well, I you know what, as far as the fans go, wow, you guys have been so good to all of us, and especially to me. I honestly, most of the time, don't feel like I deserve it, but I have to just tell myself, just shut up and go with it. If they like you, just enjoy it and keep your head up. So thank you so much. I know that with what all of us do, as you look around Facebook and the world of entertainment, eventually we're going to say something that's going to, we won't mean to, but it's going to get us in huge trouble. We'll apologize. The apology will not be accepted, and we'll be pariahs. Just please remember us for right now when we did this and you loved us for it.
Wow. That's I'm sure the news will pick up this clip and be like, see, it's okay.
No, they
They're
won't.
fine. They didn't mean it.
They'll crucify us.
Well, you know.
That's the sport today.
Probably more likely you guys on Double Toasted, because, you know, you get a few more hits than we do.
That just increases our chances.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, whoo! Everybody be like, hey, Chris, can we come work for you? Everyone hates us on there. We'll need pseudonyms, though.
And I've been working on my fake severed Donald Trump head for weeks now.
Right?
Now I got to put that thing back in the garage.
Oh, well.
And burn it.
Well, you have to burn it.
Well, somebody finds I had one.
They'd be like, cool, dude.